In this layout tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the plugin element in the builder. Plugins are best used for more complicated layouts, like things that require more nested divs and wrappers. They are also great for making preset layouts that all the users need to do is fill in the corresponding inputs. They follow the model of a wrapper and slides, where each slide is a predefined layout that repeats. It's useful for making customized layouts in addition to integrating with the JavaScript library that requires a certain markup in order to operate. I'm going to show you a few examples of plugins throughout this tutorial. For this landscaping service website, we made a Testimonials plugin so that the structure of the testimonial card was laid out, and for further testimonials, we would simply have to fill in the information for the next card. I will demonstrate how to build this. To build out this Testimonials plugin, first I'm going to add a section to my page. Next, I'm going to delete one of the column nodes because I do not need it. I will define separate columns for the testimonial cards within the plugin template itself, but the entire plugin will sit in a single column. Next, I'm going to drag and drop the plugin element. We have not created any slides yet, so we will see this message displayed. Next, I'll click the cog on the template element to bring up the toolbar. You will notice that when I hover over the cog, the option to edit the plugin template appears. I can get into the plugin template this way, or I can go down to the toolbar. We will come back to the toolbar once we have edited the template and added more slides. Okay, let's take a look at the testimonials that we'll be building for a second. In this plugin, each of these cards has a name, a date, rating, and quote in it. We will think of each of these cards as a separate plugin slide. When I'm creating the slide template, I want it to follow this design. In the slide template, I'm going to write out the HTML for a card that has name, date, rating, and a quote. For this, we're going to use the bootstrap card structure. I will start by creating an outer div that specifies the column size based on screen size breakpoints. I'm also going to add the class slide because this allows me to edit the slide individually in the builder screen. Next, I'm going to create the card div in the card body div. Inside the card body, I want to specify the name, date, rating, and quote. Since I'm making the template for all my testimonial slides, I do not want to actually put any one person's name here. Instead, I'm going to place a text variable. I can either just choose text, or I can further choose from a text variable with a single or multiple options. Later on in the video, I will show a case where this would be helpful. I have chosen a text variable, and now I'm going to name this variable based on what it is in this slide. Let's just take a look quickly at some of the other variable types. The most often used variable types are text, text area, image. With this variable, you can designate an image size. For example, if we were putting an image in these testimonial cards, they would most likely not be very large. So you could choose size small or medium, which would produce a high resolution image within the size of these testimonial cards. We also have image URL, button and link that are used often. Now I will create the other parts of my card body. I'm going to be using Font Awesome stars as my rating symbols. Font Awesome is an icon library that comes preloaded in Leiout. I'm going to be using the text area variable for the quote because it's a larger body of text. See, I use text area here. Once I'm done creating the slide template, I press Update Plugin Slide. Now I want to define the structure of the wrapper. I can see that there is a preset wrapper layout. However, from my experience with Bootstrap, I can tell that this is not going to create the layout I want because there's no row present. So I'm going to put a row container in here. And press Update. Okay, let's take a look at some of these other tabs. So we can add JS or CSS that is specific to this plugin. I can also append files, JS files or CSS files, to this plugin. I will show an example of this later. We can also include files. Our API is something that we are working on and will be evolving soon. All right, let's take a look at our slides. Let's add a slide. I now see all of my variables here ready to be filled in based on what I created in the slide template. I can even see behind this modal overlay that my testimonial card looks pretty good. Before we add any slides though, I want to show you something else. Say that I realize that not all of my testimonials are going to have 5 stars. I can go back to my plugin template and actually create another slide template so that I can choose if the testimonial has 4 stars or 5 stars. So I will first rename this plugin template to be 5 stars. And then create another template. I'll rename it to be 4 stars. This number in the parentheses tells me how many of my plugin slides are using this particular template. Okay. Let's go ahead and add some slides. I'll add another slide. This time, this one will be 4 stars. Oops, you know what I did? Super important. I didn't save. That was actually a really good lesson. Always have to remember to press update. Check. Okay, we're good. All right, let's take a look. Okay, these are looking pretty great. However, I want to change some of this styling. So I'm going to add some CSS specific to these slides. Like I want the stars to be green. So I'm going to go back to the plugin template. I can add a plugin unique ID at the beginning of this to make sure that this CSS only applies to the things in this plugin. Remember to press update. Okay, now these look really great. Now you'll notice how in the plugin toolbar, I can see all of my slides and I can actually change their order. I can edit them, or I could even delete them. We can use plugins for all sorts of things. Here's a cool menu created on the Expo template using a plugin. This plugin is an example of when we would use the text with multiple options. Because in this menu, we want to be able to put menu items in different categories. This is also a good example of when we would use the size large for an image and how the link variable works. In this resolution template, I have created an owl carousel that shows logos of various clients. If I look at the template, I can see that the slide is simply made up of an image, and the wrapper needs specific owl carousel classes as well as an ID of plugin unique ID, which will print out a unique number specific to this plugin. This can be appended to any name to make it unique. We'll come back to this shortly. This is a great example of a plugin with JS and CSS files appended to it. When I append a file, Leiout searches through files I have already uploaded. If I take a look at the uploads, I can see my OWL files here. I can also see that they are not marked as global. I do not want these files to apply to all my pages. I just want to be able to append them to specific plugins. If I had not yet uploaded these files to my uploads, I can use the Browse feature in my plugin to do so. I have also placed all other important JavaScript for this plugin in the JS tab. You will notice that I have added the plugin unique ID from our wrapper at the beginning of the function. We wrap the item in the unique ID variable so that the plugin doesn't get initialized multiple times if we have multiple instances of it on the same page. If I wanted to put any styles on this one carousel, I could put the CSS in this tab. As we saw in the Testimonials carousel, I would also wrap all of my CSS in the unique ID. By doing this, I have created a very organized situation where everything that applies to this plugin is in this plugin template and not unnecessarily applied to the entire site. One last piece we haven't mentioned yet is the Includes tab. This is where you can include your CDN for JavaScript and CSS. Plugins are a great tool, and I hope this tutorial has provided a better understanding of them for you.